Just as every good football team has a playbook showing what each player does and when, every good builder has a written schedule telling each trade how the house will be built. This schedule should be updated weekly and communicated to all parties. I prefer to email the overall schedule and then I call to confirm the week before and the day before the activity starts. We want to eliminate the excuse, "I didn't know I was scheduled today." In addition to properly communicating the schedule, a good builder is also realistic with activity durations. In your bid package, and part of your negotiation, will be the duration of work to be done. While some subcontractors prefer to supply a team of people to handle a given activity, others may be a one-man band. Make sure to discuss this before signing a contract. Time is money. Every day that you save on the schedule saves money on interest, utilities, taxes, and several other overhead costs. I estimate this cost to be approximately $100 a day. So, it does you no good to save $100 on the electrical if your electrician takes a week to rough in the house. It should really take 2 days for the typical American home. So that so-called $100 savings actually turns into a $400 loss due to the lost time. The schedule I put together shows typical durations for the average American home, which is a 2,400 square foot, 2-story. This should be a good reference point, but make sure your subcontractors agree to these prior to creating and sending out the schedule. Another item to discuss with your suppliers prior to sending out the schedule is lead time. Lead time tells you how soon the product must be ordered to arrive per your schedule. If your windows are a day late, the carpenter will have to make a special trip out to install them. This includes time for him to travel to the site and time to reset up tools. And as we all know, time is money. So confirm the order times for materials and make sure these are ordered plenty early. I like to send the complete schedule to all trades each week, even those whose activity may be 2 months out, so they can start planning for it. Another good reason for this is because they see how the other trades are affected by their start and end time. For example, if the plumber sees that the HVAC guy is coming in a day after him, he'll be motivated to hit the schedule date so he doesn't have to work with another trade in the house at the same time. One note from an experienced guy: you always want to treat your subcontractors with professionalism. So, if changes occur to the schedule on Tuesday and you send it out on Fridays, be sure to give a courtesy call to all affected trades that week. So, let's say the carpenter was supposed to finish framing the roof today, Tuesday, but he was rained out. Be sure to call the roofer and let him know the rain pushed back the schedule a day. A little professionalism goes a long way with subcontractors. There are several reasons your schedule can be delayed. Some of these are good and others are not so good. Weather is obviously unavoidable and will cause delays. Another reason for delays are material shortages and back orders. If you've been sending out an updated schedule on a weekly basis, there's no good reason for a material shortage or a back order. If these threaten to delay you more than a few days, you may want to investigate material substitutes or other sources. This is a good reason to keep all of your bids. The third and probably most frequent delay involves trades just not showing up. Sometimes I think this is because a few builders are unorganized and call the day before they need the work done. Sometimes it's the subcontractor who keeps his appointments on the back of a napkin or has competing priorities. I know I've had a few days where I'd much rather be out on the golf course instead of hanging drywall. Whatever the reason for them, no-shows will occur. However, by properly screening and selecting your subs, and by properly communicating the schedule on a weekly basis, these can be kept to a minimum. And if all else fails, keep your backup bids handy in case you decide to pull a guy off the bench because your starter is letting you down. Just make sure you have a complete contract package signed and proper insurance from the trade before any work begins. Every now and then I hear, but they build a house in 7 days on TV. Unless you have 1,000 friends who are master trades and are willing to work for free, forget about it. I cringe every time I see these shows. Hundreds of people crawling on top of each other are highly inefficient and unsafe. You'll want to stick to the designated schedule as much as possible. Having 2 or 3 trades, especially mechanical trades, in the home at the same time becomes very inefficient. In fact, the trades will hate you for it and some will not tolerate it. Keep in mind, showing up earlier than scheduled can be just as bad as showing up late. Communicate this to your subcontractors. One note regarding quality and the schedule. Quality control is an everyday process. At the end of each day, there are specific things that you or your builder consultant must do to ensure a quality, defect-free, and clean job is performed. Let's take a look at the schedule in detail. The activities for building a typical home with a basement are listed on the left side of the schedule. These activities are listed in the ideal order in which they should occur. Technically, some of these items can be done at different times. For example, set electrical service panel could be done any time up until the rough electrical stage. However, we've listed this activity at the earliest time it can be done because some electrical utility companies are slow to get the service line installed at the house. So the earlier we get the service installed, the better. So I've created this schedule based on the best possible scenario to save time and make the workflow. Another activity that can be done later is prep and pour basement and garage slabs. Realistically, this can be done at any time after inspection of underground plumbing. However, having a basement floor poured early lets the rough carpenter install the basement stairs and allows the furnace and hot water heater to be set at the rough mechanicals. So again, the schedule is set up for the best case scenario. The second column on the schedule is the duration and working days of the activity. We don't include weekends and holidays in our schedule calculations because most subcontractors choose not to work on these days. That's not to say that none will. And if you're lucky enough to have those that do work on weekends or holidays, you'll obviously want to adjust your schedule to accommodate them. Regarding this activity durations, as mentioned before, these are based on the average American home. When the size of the home increases or the specifications and/or methods change, the durations can change. For example, if you decide to do the interior painting yourself, you probably have a day job, so you may need to add days to the schedule. Or let's say you decide not to use roof trusses and you want to frame the roof on site. This will add days to your schedule. The date column on the right side of the schedule shows how work flows. If you notice, some days have two activities taking place because these activities don't interfere with or depend on each other. For example, take a look at set basement beams and columns and inspect underground plumbing. Because neither of these activities affects the other, they can be performed on the same day. You'll notice the schedule is based on a home with a basement. If your home is a slab on grade, the activities will change slightly and overall time required should be decreased. You or your builder consultant will want to review the schedule to make sure it fits your particular circumstances. So, if you look at the total elapsed time in our schedule, we have 82 working days, or just over 4 months from the time you clear the lot to closing. As mentioned before, this is your best case scenario. You should anticipate some schedule delays. And as an owner-builder, 6 to 8 months may be a more realistic overall build time.